I just wanted to, in this video, talk about awareness of our thoughts and perhaps explain some of the things that I say during a meditation or during class. Sometimes I think we as yoga teachers just tend to use little phrases like just notice without judgment, or phrases like that where maybe our students don't totally understand what they mean, even though we know what they mean. The idea is to start to become aware of what's actually going on inside your head, because with a lot of people, thoughts go on inside their heads, but they're not actually consciously aware of what they're thinking. Okay, so that's where meditation and yoga is really good, to actually slow down and just actually notice all of that chatter that goes on inside the mind. And in meditation, or at least not when we're starting to do meditation, we're not trying to just clear the mind totally. We want to become aware of that chatter that's going on in the mind, because whatever we're thinking, that will determine our behavior. So if we are constantly putting ourselves down or thinking negative thoughts, perhaps we might be thinking, I'm stressed, I'm stressed, I'm stressed. If we can actually notice that, then we can try and stop thinking that and turn it into a positive thought. So turning I'm stressed, or I don't know how to handle this, into I've got this. So from negative to positive. But if we don't actually slow down and pay attention to what's going on inside our minds, we don't notice it, so we can't change it. And this is where we do call them negative and positive thoughts sometimes, but we want to try and move away from those words, because we can also judge ourselves. So if we're feeling anxious, or if we're feeling a certain way that we think is negative, we'll beat ourselves up about it. So I've heard it being called the feedback loop from hell. Oh, I'm feeling anxious, and then you start feeling anxious and stressed that you're feeling anxious, and it becomes a bit of a cycle. So yoga is really good. Yoga and meditation is really good for just noticing what's going on inside your mind, and not trying to clear the mind totally, because if you're told not to think of something, you're automatically going to think of it. But if you have a negative thought, perhaps to try and replace it with something positive that you can say to yourself instead. So trying to perhaps rewire, you might be in a habit of saying to yourself, I'm anxious, I'm anxious, I'm anxious, when you can actually replace it with something positive, and you can start to rewire the brain. So that's probably why I say things like, notice your thoughts without judgment. That's what that means. Not freaking out about if you have a negative or a positive thought, and just letting it be.